Hey everyone, I'm the Drink Pro. Today we find out the truth. Are store picks really better? What's up everybody, Kyle the Drink Pro here with you yet again. Thank you so much for liking, commenting, sharing this video with your friends, subscribing to the channel, click the bell for notifications, join me on the Patreon. Everything you guys do to support the channel means the world to me. It makes my life so much easier to continue to have your viewership and your support. Today, we've got Weller Foolproof. We've got 3 different versions. We're gonna do them side by side by side. Now, why am I doing this? I already did a video on Weller Foolproof. I compared it to all these other Weller products. What's the point? Well, the point today is I want to talk about whether or not store picks are actually better. There's sort of this aura around store picks, specifically with people who've sort of gotten sick of the standard fight trying to get the Pappies and the BTAC and all that. They just want something that's good to drink, that's easy to find, relatively speaking. But you have to be careful, because not all store picks are created equal. So what I've done today is taken 3 different Weller Foolproof pours. I've got one that's a standard release, and I've got 2 different store picks. One is from Big Red Liquors, and one is from Crown Liquors. Now I will say, I've worked with Big Red on different projects in the past. Vine and Table is related with Big Red, but I'm not going to let that influence my notes. If it's the worst one, I will tell you. If it's the best one, I will tell you. I'm not going to let those relationships influence my palate. Now, I could go into all these details about Weller and the history of the brand and the history of the product, but I don't want to focus on that. Weller Foolproof is a relatively new release, and I want to talk about store picks versus regular whiskey. Specifically, when you talk about new releases, it's an interesting question because Weller already has a problem meeting demand, frankly. You can't find Weller Foolproof on the shelves very often. So finding store picks seems even more unusual. I don't know. It's an odd strategy by Buffalo Trace. So I want to shout out somebody for each of these pours. And first I'm going to shout out this bottle. Jack Anderson, local whiskey hero, helped me find this bottle. He reached out to me and said, hey man, I know where you can get some of this. I very much appreciate the help, Jack. Thank you so much, sir. I think that's just part of what this is all about. Because the next pour I've got, same kind of deal. This is the Crown Pick AWOL. Now the reason they called them the AWOL picks is because they weren't able to go down to Buffalo Trace to pick these. They were sent up here. AWOL is kind of fun to say like, oh, we weren't there, but we still got some picks. It's cute, I get it. This was by an Instagram follower and friend, indie.bourbonguy. Thanks so much for this pour. Is it responsible to drink whiskey that was given to you by a stranger on the internet? I'm going to leave that question unanswered and drink it anyway. Finally, I've got a little bit of Weller Foolproof Standard left from Ryan over at the Naptown Bourbon Club. I've talked about it before. I've worked with them several times. The Naptown Bourbon Club is a 501c3 nonprofit organization doing good things in our community here in Indianapolis and also having some wonderful bourbon along the way. I look forward to the end of the pandemic when we can actually get together with them and do some in-person events. But until then, we're doing what we can remotely, and I'm going to drink some of the Weller Foolproof. I don't have the shirt on because you only get one with each sample you give me. I'm joking, but I'm serious. Let's go ahead and drink it. I should hold it up. I should do what I've been doing with all these. Almost gone, so sad. Now the Weller Foolproof is 57% alcohol. The reason it's called Foolproof is because 114 proof is what the whiskey enters the barrel at, so it comes out at a higher proof, but they actually proof it down a little bit so that it's the same proof it starts at. It's cute. It's not barrel strength. I don't know why they do that, but a lot of places do that. They use foolproof or some other, pseudonym that says it's not actually the exact same strength coming out of the cask. All right, let's go ahead and get into these pours. The fact that I've forgotten which one's which and I'm gonna have to review the video to figure that out actually is helpful because I wanted to do this video blind. I couldn't do it blind, but I'm kind of doing it accidentally blind now, except I know which one is the non-store pick. Let's try number 1. I will say I really like the nose on number 1. Beautiful, sweet vanilla, caramel, things I love in a whiskey. I actually get a little maple syrup, a little bit of actually like a fake maple syrup, like, Mrs. Buttersworth or something. I'm getting a little cinnamon as well, definitely get that baking spice note, but it's still really living in the pancake world for me at least. I get pancake, maybe like cinnamon pancakes with like a cherry black raspberry compote or something. Oh, cinnamon pecan. It's cinnamon pecan pancakes with a little bit of fruit on top. And Mrs. Buttersworth. This is painting a picture in my mind. I really love the smell of this. Let's go ahead and smell number 2. We'll do smell first, then taste second. Now number 2 is a lot brighter and more airy. It's almost floral. I get a really strong strawberry note, blueberry and strawberry, but it's light and floral at the same time, like a honeysuckle in there. Oh, I almost get a note of minerality. It reminds me in some ways of Dickel juice, where you've got that fruity, floral, hint of mineral note. That's really curious. I don't usually get that note from most whiskeys, unless they're Dickel, and I know this isn't Dickel. You want to smell? You like that? Yeah. Not your thing, huh? It reminds me too much of your friends. Finally, my wee pour of the classic Weller Full Proof. Whoa, very, very different. Interesting, okay. I get like raisins. I get like honey and raisins. This one has the sharpest vanilla too. It's like a vanilla extract. Sneeze achieved. So the classic one is less floral, less fruity. It's just really in the butter zone of sweet aromatics, caramel, honey, corn syrup. The oakiness is most prominent on this one. I get a little hint of blueberry, a little hint of cinnamon, but mostly sweet aromatics and a hint of oak. It's interesting because the baking spice is more prominent on this first one. The floral and fruity notes are more prominent on the second one. The middle of the roadedness, which I know isn't a word, but it's just, the Weller Full Proof Standard is just right down the tracks. It gives you a very classic standard profile, whereas both of these store picks kind of go off kilter and go different directions in ways that I actually enjoy. Let's go ahead and taste them. I like that. Oh no, it got ruined. In my video about Weller, I remember distinctly saying that the Weller Full Proof had this oakiness at the end that really didn't do it for me. I felt like it was not really what Weller's supposed to taste like. And if you really like oak, you're gonna be like, oh, this is the only one of the Weller line I really do like. I get it, but for me, Weller is supposed to be easy drinking, simple, smooth, not like a journey. The bitter oak on this pick, just not doing it for me, which is a shame because it starts off really good. Beautiful blueberry and caramel and honey. Mid-palate, you get this nuttiness and this kind of nice minerality. It really does have some of these have Dickel vibes. It's really throwing me off. Mid-palate has that nice pecan note, that nuttiness. Maybe even like a hint of like blueberry skins. It's got a little bit of that bitterness, but still pretty fruity. But the finish is just pepper and dry oak, and that's not really my vibe. The more I drink this first one, the more I like it. It gets better and better. That dry, bitter wood becomes softer and less pronounced. I get more chocolate. The sweetness becomes longer from the front, becomes more pervasive into the mid-palate and finish. Yeah, it's not bad, but I wouldn't reach for it. It's less fruity, way lighter and sweeter, more floral. Oh, yeah, and see, the woodiness is more nutty in this one. I get oak, I get pepper, but it's predominantly like sweet almond, sweet pecan. Oh, the pepper's a lot more prominent too. It's a notable pepper tingle on the tongue in the finish. I don't like the way this one starts nearly as much. The fruit isn't as pronounced, the sweetness isn't as pronounced. It's sort of light, airy, it's got a little bit of floral, a little bit of sweet, a little bit of fruit. It's very balanced in a way that sort of nothing stands out. Instead of feeling like a symphony, it feels like white noise. Not great. But the mid-palate and finish is a lot better. Last but not least, let's go ahead with the standard Weller Full Proof. Whoa. Sweet butterscotch and vanilla. By far the most sweet aromatic on the front. Huh. I really love the mid-palate on this. It's fruity and nutty at the same time. I get like cinnamon toasted almonds, like honey, cinnamon, almonds, and blueberries. Actually, I think I prefer of the three, for my personal palate, I think I prefer this one. And it's because the finish is probably the least pronounced. That's probably gonna make it the least favorite for a lot of people, because people that are picking up Weller Full Proof are picking it up because they want more oomph than they're getting from a 107 or from a 12 year or whatever. And I don't really want that. Don't get me wrong, all these are really good pours. I am being very nitpicky. I'm really getting into the nuance and being incredibly critical. Any of these I would be happy to have a bottle of, or another bottle of in this case. But I think my favorite of the three is the standard Weller Full Proof, and it's because it's the most balanced of the pours. To me, the philosophy of the Weller line is about balance. That's why I think the Weller 12 won my competition for the best Weller, even against some really expensive, hard to get your hands on pours. Never did do the single barrel. I'd love to do it sometime, but who knows when. That said, if you want something that stands out, then you're not going to like the Weller Foolproof Standard Release because nothing really stands out on it. It's very down the middle of the road, very neutral. Very classic sweetness up front. You get that nuttiness and the fruitiness in the mid-palate. And the finish is very soft wood. Whereas if you come in on the store picks, either one of them really, oaking is a lot more prominent on this. The bitterness is more prominent on this. The sweetness is actually more prominent too. It's just less balanced. There are some things that really show up on here that don't show up at all here. To me, this is just super sweet. Then it goes into this sort of nutty woodiness. And then the Crown AWOL pick, butterscotch candy, and then pretty oaked wood with maybe a hint of fruit. My personal preference, though, of these three is probably the standard Weller Foolproof. And that's not a knock on these store picks, to be very clear. They're trying to do something different. They're trying to pick a specific palate, a specific profile, and go with it. And I respect that. It's just not the palate or profile that I'm looking for when I'm drinking Weller whiskey. So hopefully that's informative. Hopefully learn something from that. Thank Indie.Bourbon Guy. Thanks Jack Anderson. Thanks Naptown Bourbon Club. Thank you all so much for helping make this possible. I've got a lot of whiskey to keep drinking, so I'm going to go finish it, and you all keep drinking like professionals. Cheers.